First Lady Melania Trump stepped into a quiet school garden this week to participate in an unusual but meaningful activity. Surrounded by children, autumn leaves, and art supplies, she joined in a creative project that asked the children to transform what they had gathered from the ground into something imaginative. The event combined education, creativity, and nature into one scene, reflecting a softer side of public engagement for the First Lady and drawing attention to the role of hands-on learning in childhood development. The setting was deliberately simple. A modest garden space had been prepared with long tables covered in plain paper, crayons, pins, and glue sticks. Baskets overflowed with freshly collected leaves in every shade of brown, orange, and yellow. Children arrived in small groups, some holding their finds from the garden, others looking around curiously to see what they would be asked to do. There was no podium, no stage, no grand display, just children, natural materials, and the idea that something beautiful could come out of the most ordinary objects. When Melania Trump joined them, she did not stand apart but rather sat among the children, leaning forward to listen, to ask questions, and to take part in the activity herself. The exercise was simple but surprisingly open-ended. Use the leaves to create art. Some children began tracing outlines of the leaves before coloring them in with crayons. Others pinned leaves directly onto paper, arranging them into patterns, animals, or the beginnings of imaginary houses. One child proudly announced that they were making an ant out of leaves, while another held up a design that resembled the roof of a tiny home. When Trump asked if they knew the names of the leaves they had gathered, some children hesitated, while one quickly responded with conkers, using the British word for horse chestnut seeds, which are often used in playground games. The moment reflected the mix of play, curiosity, and learning that the event was designed to encourage. Melania Trump guided the children with patience and warmth. She invited them to choose leaves for her, accepted them with a smile, and encouraged them to explain what they were making. When one child hesitated to bring their project forward, she reassured them, asking if they wanted to share it on the table where everyone could see. Observers described her tone as calm, almost maternal, and noted how quickly the children relaxed in her presence. Educators and organizers explained that the purpose of the gathering went far beyond simple crafts. Activities like these, they said, stimulate fine motor skills, build confidence, and encourage children to see beauty in their environment. Using natural materials meant that the children had to look closely at the world around them, identifying leaves, shells, and textures they might otherwise ignore. An organizer commented that, when a child turns a leaf into a bird or a house, they're learning not just art but imagination. They're seeing possibilities where adults might only see litter on the ground. For the adults present, the lesson was as valuable as it was for the children. Creativity can flourish in simplicity, and education does not always require screens or technology. The event also carried echoes of a long tradition. First ladies of the United States have often taken up causes linked to children and education. Eleanor Roosevelt read stories to orphans. Jacqueline Kennedy invited children into the White House for cultural programs. And Michelle Obama promoted gardens and healthy eating through her Let's Move initiative. Melania Trump's appearance with the Leaf Art Project aligned with her own Be Best campaign, which during her time in the White House emphasized children's well-being, kindness, and online safety. Though she has made fewer public appearances in recent years, the choice to attend a program centered on children's creativity was consistent with her past priorities. Observers pointed out that such events carry both symbolic and practical significance. Symbolically, they present a First Lady as someone willing to engage with children on their level, not through speeches or formal ceremonies, but through shared activity. Practically, they shine a light on educational methods that are often undervalued. Art, especially art that draws on natural materials, has been shown by researchers to improve problem-solving skills, strengthen emotional expression, and build resilience in young learners. By taking part, Melania Trump was not only supporting the children in front of her, but also highlighting a teaching method that educators hope to see expanded in classrooms across the country. Parents and neighbors who watched described the event as unexpectedly moving. One parent remarked, "It was something so simple, but it really mattered to the kids. It wasn't about politics or fame. It was about showing children that their creativity is important, that even someone who was in the White House values what they make with their own hands." Another parent noted that the choice to use leaves instead of store-bought supplies sent a message about resourcefulness and sustainability. In an age where environmental awareness is increasingly urgent, the idea of finding inspiration in nature resonated with many of the adults present. As the session unfolded, the children's creations grew more ambitious. A few built collages that resembled forests, while others layered leaves to suggest birds in flight. Some made purely abstract arrangements, overlapping colors and shapes without a fixed design. When the work was displayed at the end of the activity, every creation was celebrated, regardless of polish or clarity. Melania Trump took time to admire each piece, thanking the children for their effort and reminding them that there was no right or wrong way to make art. The pride on the children's faces was unmistakable. For Trump herself, the event served as both a continuation of her past initiatives and a reminder of the enduring role public figures can play in education. Her presence drew attention not because of a speech or announcement, but because of the contrast. A former First Lady, often associated with glamour and formality, now sitting at a small table, helping children pin autumn leaves onto paper. In the quiet laughter of the children and the rustle of leaves being passed from hand to hand, the symbolism was clear. As one educator reflected afterward, children today are surrounded by technology, but here in a garden with nothing more than leaves, glue, and paper, they found joy. They learned to see differently. That's a lesson that will stay with them longer than any app or screen. In the end, the Leaf Art project may not make headlines like international summits or political rallies, but it spoke to something fundamental: the importance of nurturing imagination, valuing simplicity, and recognizing the role of nature in childhood learning. For the children who took part, it was a day to remember. For Melania Trump, it was an opportunity to once again step into the public eye, not as a politician's spouse, but as someone willing to sit beside children, listen to them, and remind them that their creativity matters. If you found this story insightful and want to explore more moments where politics, culture, and everyday life intersect, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next video.